looking at some of the submersed weeds, and and again, we don't have to get into a lot of detail on how do you determine one submersed from another. As you'll see as we go through here, a lot of them you can treat very similarly, and we'll outline a common program here at the end which can address all of these simultaneously and very proactively here. But I'll go through a few here. Pond weeds are very common. Milfoil, hydrilla are some of the federally listed noxious weeds. These are also very common and invasive and can really choke out a pond quickly. And then we can get to some of the other ones I'll show some pictures of as well. But to start out here, there's...
Can I interrupt with one question that might be relevant to a lot of people?
Yeah,
how do you know, you mentioned some are considered federally defined as noxious.
Yeah.
How do you know, where can you find information about what licenses or application regulations they might have in a particular state? So somebody particularly was asking about Massachusetts. Do you have to have an RUP license to apply any of these products, or are all of them unrestricted?
Yeah, all of these products that I've mentioned are not restricted at that level. But different states have different regulations, but often either the DNR or DEP or state EPA can help you in terms of whether a permit is needed to apply these products. But none of these products are listed as restricted use, if that makes sense. So
yep, it does. Thank you. I think that will help.
Okay. But yeah, to get back in here, the pond, good question, by the way. Pond weeds, very common. They have a lot of different growth forms, many different types. We have the curly leaf pondweed in the bottom left picture here, sort of wavy, fairly common in the north. Even this time of year, you have your more larger pondweeds with these floating leaves on them. But some of the control methods here, a non-irrigation pond, again, sonar is going to be broad spectrum on a lot of these submersed species as well as the floating species as we saw. So a sonar in there, up front is going to give you the season-long control, of all these different types of pond weeds. There's some other products like aquathol that can work on a sort of a burn down, here, but often it grows right back as well. With an irrigation system, again, similar, galleon, hold the concentration, give you long-term control. Combing can be a great reactive sort of knockdown contact tool to address some of these spot treatment weeds as well. And here's just some different pictures of different types of pond weeds. Again, a lot of different characteristics, but we can treat them all very similarly. You don't have to get down to the exact species you're dealing with to have a good program to get control here. So some other weeds, milfoil, very common, a lot of different types of milfoil out there. There are some natives, but there are a lot of exotics and hybrids that can be tricky to control and grow very fast and very dense in these systems. But again, for non-irrigation systems, sonar should be the go-to product. Very good control and long-term control there with sonar. Irrigation, again, the galleon. Less than 30 parts per billion. Galleon doesn't have any turf irrigation restrictions, and the Latora or the diquat product is more of a burn down, and you still got to be able to shut off irrigation for a couple days with that one, and you may need multiple applications because it could grow right back. Elodea, it's a neat one. It looks really similar to hydrilla and agarya, which we'll talk about on the next two slides. But again, if you're dealing with something that looks like this, we treat them all very similarly. But non-irrigation, again, sonar, and irrigation, combing. And then I'll get in, like I said, I'll get into some details of these products below. But very simple how we can go after elodea and even hydrilla. Again, sonar on the non-irrigation, and the galleon and combing on more of a irrigation, reactive type approach. Agarya looks very similar to the others, but again, if you got a non-irrigation pond and something that looks like this, the sonar program, put the sonar in the water and it'll keep these weeds down and keep them from growing all year. Irrigation, the combing or the combing diquat reactive here can do very well at controlling agarya also. So, like I said, a lot of similarities in these three weeds and what they look like, but you really don't have to worry about differentiating one from the other or counting these whorls of leaves. We can treat them all very similarly in these golf course ponds. Coontail's another neat one. The name sort of based on the morphological features there of the plant, but again, we can treat that very similarly. The sonar is going to take care of this weed too. So a lot of those submersed ones, we're seeing a theme here. Sonar is going to be the go-to product to to keep a lot of those nuisance weeds down. And in irrigation systems, the combing product is going to be great on a reactive basis to knock those weeds down. But again, a couple applications may be needed. Southern Naiad, sort of the same thing here. This looks like sort of little grassy stuff growing in the water, but similar recommendation here as we've seen for a lot of other submersed weeds.